what we've seen in the past, is that if you don't move forward, if you don't expand your skill set, if you don't understand the new technology, you can be left behind.
Hey there, welcome to the AI Sidekick, the show designed to help you banish your AI anxiety. I'm your host, Ryan Heath, from Robin AI. In this episode, we're speaking to the co-founder and head of legal checks at Google, Nia Castelly. Okay, Nia, let's get started maybe by setting the stage and helping define sort of what GenAI is and how you've been using it. Can you give a couple of concrete examples of how generative AI is currently being used or has the potential to be used in the legal profession?
Yeah, I guess I'll start out by saying I'm hoping this is the way that more folks in the legal profession will be using it. But I think at the very least, I could safely say that, GenAI is being used to query or understand large data sets. So that can be in the context of litigation, because we've had e-discovery for a while, but just there's so much data that has to be managed in that, or investigations. So really being able to understand what's there and being able to generate answers to questions, querying those data sets. Also, in terms of understanding historical contracting practices, policies, et cetera, those things change over time. And I'll probably talk a little bit about what we've done with checks and how we leverage that from a legal context. But those are some ways that I think the legal profession has been comfortable with, as well as just normally legal research, background research, and hopefully drafting communications and making that more seamless.
And in your team, that's a good chance to talk about how every legal team is different. Have you been able to move forward with some of those examples? Or is it a case that because every company, every culture is different, you just have to sort of be prepared to move at different paces on different uses of these tools?
Well, I'm at Google, so as you can imagine, we're kind of on the forefront of that, even in the legal department and those who aren't, actually developing the models. For no other reason, we need to understand the technology to be able to advise on it. But we have such a broad array of tools available to us, both internally and, just in general. So as a general matter, I incorporated, our teams incorporated. That said, as you can imagine, legal professionals, regardless of where we sit, tend to be slower. So it definitely, I have seen more encouragement that we lean in on some of these things and actually use the tools. And because I think using is where you really understand, the power and also limitations of these things.
But it's important to be skeptical. So I want to be on the lawyer's side here a little bit because people have to ask hard questions about any big change in society. But I guess sometimes skepticism kind of can blend in with misconceptions. Like, have you come across any specific misconceptions that lawyers or legal teams have about generative AI that you think need to get corrected?
Well, I think one that has come up a lot, which maybe not necessarily at Google, but in the legal profession in general, is that, AI is going to take all of our jobs. And, I'm definitely a tech-focused lawyer, but even that's surprising to me that more people who I consider intelligent are really getting to that. And that's not to say that, there's not going to be a shift. I don't want to be too glib about it. There is a significant shift in the marketplace and technology that is happening. And one of the things I talk about a lot is that, folks are going to have to lean in. This is not unlike prior shifts. Now it's faster and it's exciting and it's the newest thing. But what we've seen in the past, is that if you don't move forward, if you don't expand your skill set, if you don't understand the new technology, you can be left behind. So I think that is one thing. The other thing, and I think similar to you, where I think it's important for us as in the legal profession to be skeptical, is just the fact that, there can be inaccuracies, right? It's magical what Gen AI can do. I think even the most tech savvy folks have found it to be magical. But in that, it can also create a sense of it can do bigger things than it really can. So I think that uncertainty has also been another roadblock for adoption on the legal front.
Yeah, I'm amazed that some people don't find more nuance, where I definitely believe that there's a lot of people that will get left behind if they don't lean into this technology. But the idea that you can just press a button and it goes off and solves everything on its own, that you don't need the humans to be involved. Yeah, I agree. I find that very far-fetched at this point. Now, maybe to some of the good news, the benefit side of the equation. In my experience, in-house legal teams are notoriously overworked. So efficiency gains are a key part of what you could get out of using legal AI. What are the sort of efficiency gains that you're expecting from it, or that you're experiencing right now from it?
Well, there are a lot of them. I think the thing that is most and has the biggest impact on a day-to-day basis is in the communication space. Particularly lawyers, we communicate a lot, have to communicate a lot, whether it be in emails, obviously lots of that, memos, short, whatever, PowerPoints, decks, those sorts of things. And they don't necessarily require a lot of skill. Like, we can provide the core components, the information, but like making it pretty, writing it out, right? Like that adds up. And so I think even in that area, that capability is already there, is highly robust. I think you have to use it to be able to get to the point that it can truly make huge efficiencies. But that's one area I know I use it in. And I think it's a great one for lawyers simply because of the type of work and the style of work that we do. The other area is understanding information. So whether you're in-house or, at a law firm, you have to keep up to speed, whether it's a new client, a new product team, a new product, or just an area that, they want to move in and we haven't been in there, and we need to get up to speed quickly. And that, I've heard time and time again, is the hardest thing for lawyers. There's so much information. And what I found is there's a lot of great tools that can help synthesize that data and bring you what you need at the moment, whether it's through querying. So like one of my favorite is Notebook LM, where you can, I think as a lawyer, I have more control over what it's actually pulling from. So it's not like, I don't know where this is coming from, but I can say, well, these are the sources that I want to rely on, I want to know about. And so that's the one thing. Two, it provides great links. So again, I'm all about double checking the work, even in the loop. So if there's a specific issue, it's like, oh, that's important to me. It also can take me to the source of where it's providing that information. So I think as lawyers, that's another example of a great tool that we can use.
And when you bank some of those efficiencies, my guess is that frees up more of your time to sort of apply to the strategic side of the job, the stuff that you trained for, that you love doing, and that gives you exposure to the bosses and the C-suite. Is that what you're finding, that now you can go and have more of those substantive arguments, or really think about the future of the business rather than just kind of like stopping from drowning?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It provides time to think. And that's the expertise that we bring to the table that cannot necessarily, I don't think, be duplicated in GenAI. I think it can be used to create new thoughts, or even, like you said, save the time and allow us to have either deeper conversations, more time to just think through what we've learned, or what we're thinking about, or where we're going, whether it be strategy, or new risks, or new areas that could require a deeper dive. So I think that's where we open up with increased efficiencies.
And if I could make an educated guess, I think you're probably in that sort of top quartile of legal AI users. Like, you're maybe not the first person out there trying every new thing, but you really are quite an advanced user. The reality is most lawyers, whether they're in a small firm or in a much smaller in-house team, they're probably not using it perhaps to the extent that you're using it. What have you come across sort of hesitations amongst your peers, or have you got any advice for those people who, It's in the back of their mind. They know they've got to get onto it, but they really haven't sort of leapt into it yet.
Absolutely. Lots of hesitation. And you're right. I'm clearly an early adopter, always have been. But it's also why I like to talk about this, right, amongst my peers and in the legal sector, so that I can speak more specifically because we are skeptics. So when we hear marketing, sales, and we're like, yeah, 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 it's like we're not going to fall for that. It's too much at risk. So there are specific things, that I'll talk about, like I mentioned, Notebook LM, where you can have more control, where you have citations, where you can go double check and make sure it's actually providing the answer that's accurate, or even go deeper, right, and take it whichever way. I also say that, a lot of these consumer facing examples of Gen AI that are readily available is to just go try it. Play with it for your personal use case or something that's low risk, and that then you can actually see, does this, make sense? Can I use this in a way that I feel comfortable? And I think that's what they'll find out that they can.
I'm going to give you a counter example now. I tried to make a video today with a video AI tool, and it turned me into a pirate. And I was trying to lead a sales enablement course. For some reason, it thought I needed to be a full 17th century pirate. So that was a very low risk scenario. But yes, the tools can give you surprising results sometimes, I guess is the lesson.
I think the other thing is why it's important to play with it, because some of it is user error. I'm the same way. I'm not a manual reader. I like to jump in, but for those who are, you're actually probably better suited, because once you actually go, there's so many trainings out there that can help you with, prompt engineering, et cetera. But once you're able to use it or find a way to get in quickly, and use it in the most effective way, then the results are more positive, and then you can truly see the benefits of it. But as you say, it's not perfect, and that's important to remember.
And one of the things that has sort of cropped up a lot in debates is people have been worried about potential bias in AI algorithms, or what's going to happen with the privacy of the data that they're putting into it. And I noticed that has kind of faded a little bit into the background. Do you think it's because the tools themselves aren't proving to be as problematic as people feared, or do we have a kind of like sort of memory issue here? Like we're not thinking enough about the potential risks?
So I'll start with bias, because I think everyone agrees it's a problem, regardless of the bias, right? Whether it be cultural bias, US bias, right? Like country specific, socioeconomic, there's all sorts of ways in which this can play out. I believe that it's probably taken a back seat because we don't really have a great answer for it. But on the other hand, there's still all of these amazing benefits. So I question whether it's just a matter of kicking the can down the road at this point, but not because this is an important issue that we should continue to grapple with. It's difficult, and just because it's difficult shouldn't be something that we don't continue to work at. And I know there are folks who are doing it, and working on it, but you're right, we should continue to talk about it, because the things that are talked about are, resourced and supported, and this is an important area. I think the privacy question is also a big one, but I do think that one has some more solutions, right? Whether it's, an enterprise version, that is on-prem, or, has other safeguards where that it's not, it's training your version of the model and no one else's, and the like, or even on the device, features, Gen AI based features that many companies are rolling out, which I think are really important. I'm very privacy conscious. So those are always attractive to me, when it's only because these models can be made much smaller to do certain feature sets, and can even exist on your devices. So in that case, I'm much more likely to, adopt something quickly, that might have, create personal information leakage if not used properly.
I definitely took out those little pro plans so that I could click don't publish. This probably bleeds into the next question I had, which is around AI training and development. And, I don't know, we could take it in your team. You could talk about legal education. I didn't have a specific view here. But it definitely strikes me that, a whole generation of people are sort of coming into this tech, but they're maybe not getting all of that context that we just talked about. What do you think has to happen on the training and development side?
I think it's a combination. I think I talked a bit about the importance in whatever area of the legal profession or other professions that you're in. You do have to, I think we need to prioritize it. And I'll say this as someone who's had this on my list of things to do, but there's so many great resources that are very approachable and even free, or very low cost, that are available to use. That said, looking at me as an example, I've had it on my to-do list, right? So that would be many of us. We have so many competing priorities. I think we're going to have to mandate it, like as in terms of leadership, whether it be at law firms or legal groups, like that should be part of the training. If for no other reason, to avoid, people using it improperly, not understanding the technology, and not incorporating it correctly, to making sure that your group, your team, your organization is leaning into what can be incredible efficiencies, if we lean in and get the proper training and development on it.
Yeah, I fully agree there. This probably extends that question and loops back to some of the earlier ones. Junior lawyers are probably being bombarded with quite a lot of information at the moment. Like either they're not going to have a job, their career ladder's been taken away from them, or they don't need to worry about this at all. Do you have any advice to, someone who's in law school right now or just starting in the profession? What should they be thinking about when it comes to AI?
I feel like I'm, saying the same thing over and over, but I think they're best suited, right, to lean in and just show, the more senior lawyers, how this technology can be used and used safely. I was recently, at a law school event, for my alma mater, and we were talking about this. And I was equating it back to the olden days when I was in law school and we just got Westlaw and Lexis. And the idea of like doing legal research online was like, what? There's no way. But as junior lawyers, we were able to come in and show the partners, look, I can do this in half the time, as opposed to spending hours, in the library, trying to shepherdize this case or do some additional research. Look at the amazing work I can get done. And I can show you why, it's the same, if not better, than the old way. I think it's very similar, very analogous to what's happening today.
Well, that's a great way of thinking about it, like that it can actually be fast forward on your career if you are thinking about it the right way. Now, one last question. We got a couple of minutes left. If you could wave a wand and get AI to kill off one of your work pain points, what would you make that AI do? What problem would it be solving for you?
It would be my inbox. and to do it in a way that's, like me. And I think that's the hardest part, right? How can you personalize it? Because, they have, tools now that'll summarize your inbox or even your emails. I honestly don't use them that much because I don't trust it, right? That it pulled all of the most important details. So if GenAI was actually able to I wouldn't even have an inbox. It would be almost headlines, right? And I could click and they could, prioritize things and say, this is something that you cared about before. I don't know, but in a way that I could trust, in a way that was helpful. And I would be at least 90% sure that I wouldn't miss anything important.
It must be possible. They're doing it with Synthesia in the videos, notwithstanding my pirate example. But we should be able to upload 10,000 words of what we've written, and then it should be able to express as us. I agree with you.
Or just watch how we've used the inbox, like what we responded to, what we've said. We talk about personal information. If it's an enterprise version, it should be able to learn on my history, right? And I've been doing it a while.
I have to say, I think Gmail's pretty good at that now. I am constantly shocked when I delve beyond what the AI presents me as my priority emails. And I'm like, wow, there really were hundreds that they correctly moved to the other folders. So
I still don't use priority inbox. So, yeah, still has a ways to go.
Every AI journey is an ongoing journey. There's no destination. Maybe that's the lesson out of all of this.
Absolutely.
Well, Nia Castelly, thank you so much for joining us on the AI Sidekick.
Thanks for having me.
Now it's time to bring in two experts from Robin AI to run our Hero Hotline, where we answer your questions, your concerns, your challenges. Call it advice, call it food for thought, call it whatever you want. The idea here is to help you get the ROI you need from AI. And now we bring in our Hero Hotline panelists to deal with the hot topic of the year, which is AI agents. They sound promising. I know I would love nothing more than to fully automate the drudge work in my life. But the question and the challenge for our panelists today is, are these claims too good to be true? How skeptical should folks out there be about the AI agent hype of 2025?
A little bit of healthy skepticism is crucial, in fact, because the builders need to be accountable here. So let's take a step back. What are we really talking about when we talk about agentic AI? These are purpose-built agents or workflows or software solutions, more easily post, that are intended to make work easier. They are intended to understand how your business works, the rhythm of your business, and to accomplish tasks that might have been previously thought toilsome or rote. The boring work goes to the agent, and the interesting work stays with the human. And it sounds really compelling, and it sounds like something that would be a boon to productivity and maybe even a boon to profitability. But the thing you have to keep in mind is that it's still early days. So when you look at a lot of agentic approaches, the solutions are very similar and very, I would say, ubiquitous almost in their simplicity.
That might be the real thing. Maybe it does automate, but only the simple stuff.
This notion of chain of workflow is quite compelling, and the ability for an agentic workflow to understand a full business process and be able to accomplish that business process perfect every time, that sounds amazing. Research and practical experience have shown that agents are still not quite perfect at that. And so, again, a little bit of healthy skepticism and trying your use cases out, making sure that you're partnering with a partner that has solid credibility, is willing to take your feedback, is willing to work with you to let you experiment and prove your work cases or prove your workflows out before you engage, is 100% my recommendation for success as you're facing this brave new world of agents and agentic workflows.
You need to be very skeptical of AI agents. Again, because they can only do elementary tasks okay. It doesn't mean they won't be very powerful and strong in a couple years. But if you actually test models on your own, like the latest trend of, oh, let's get a Pixar character of myself. It hallucinates extra shoes, extra limbs. It doesn't really understand your command. And that's just generating a cute little cartoon. You want it to then be an AI agent that does all these magical things for you. Yes, the potential is there, but right now where we're at, they're just okay. And that's okay. Doesn't mean you don't use them. It just means you understand that this is not going to reduce your head count anytime soon.
Or if you want more than okay, maybe you need to rely on something else to get a more than okay result.
More than okay, you need a service attached, you need experts attached, you need to invest a lot of money in fine-tuning the model for your specific use case, then you'll have more than okay. But if you want to spend a couple $1,000, 10 grand, 20 grand, and get this magical AI agent and then lay off 5 people, that's not in the cards for anybody yet right now.
Excellent. That's great. Thanks for tuning into the AI Sidekick. I hope you're now feeling more confident about implementing AI into your business. If you found today's conversation valuable, be sure to subscribe and share it with your colleagues. For more insights or to see how Robin AI can help you make contracts simple, check out robinai.com. See you next time.